I'm going to tell you about a scammer who called me while I was making chutney, and a couple of slick bonus scammers who tried the same scam on me twice in one day.
Should have seen it coming.
Hi everyone, welcome to Planet Juju. When I was making some chutney, the landline phone rang. It was John. John was calling me from a telephone company I'd never heard of, asking me if I was the business owner. I asked him what business he was calling, and he told me a name. I asked him where he'd found the number. He said he'd got the number from Business Directory. John asked me if the business was still running, but I told him it was a domestic landline. He asked how long I've had the number. "Oh, simply ages," I said. Unperturbed, he told me that my number had been recycled, but anyway, he could offer me a fantastic deal for $29.99 a month, and it would all go through the same network as my current landline. I told him I pay much less than that already, so he dropped the price by another tenner. I didn't tell him, but I still pay less than that, and he assured me that I would get all the same service as I have with my current provider. "Oh," I said, getting quite impatient that I wasn't getting on with my chutney. "Does that mean I'll still get the same call blocking service that blacklists scammer numbers like yours?" He cut the call, and I went back to my apples giggling. "No fishing for you today, John." So how do I know that John was a scammer? Well, for a start, I'm registered with the UK's Telephone Preference Service. This is a free service that stops unsolicited sales and marketing calls. So I know any caller wanting to sell me a service or tells me I'm eligible for something is going to be dodgy, as they haven't complied with the law or they're a scammer. Other countries have their own versions of this service, also free. In the US, it's the National Do Not Call Registry. Secondly, John was calling from a call centre computer. You can tell this from when you pick up the phone and answer it. There's an initial silence and you end up saying, "Hello? Hello?" at least a couple of times, and often you'll hear a split-second tone as their computer connects. Whoop! Most scam calls I receive are from India, one of the main hubs being Sector 5 in Kolkata, but I've spoken to callers from elsewhere. John had an Indian accent. Because scammers don't want to get caught, they won't give you their real name. They'll use a name they think that you're going to be more familiar with. I think this stems from the sad fact that racism still exists, and using a common English name might increase the chances of being trusted. Personally, I would rather call people by their own names, and I also feel really sorry for people with Indian accents trying to do honest jobs. Because of scammers, they must have to put up with so much abuse. So much abuse, in fact, that it can become a vicious circle, because it's not hard to understand why extremely well-trained customer services employees from large companies that have call centres in India become disillusioned by the way they're treated by some customers and end up leaving and joining the scammers, both as a form of vengeance on nasty racist Westerners and also because they can earn more money. These are the really dangerous ones because they're already professionally trained to keep their cool, and they have very good English. So I'd like to introduce you to Caroline and Mac, two very slick scammers who called me on the same day, a few hours apart, both impersonating the domestic appliance breakdown insurance company HomeServe. Bear in mind, I already knew they were scammers before they even spoke, because of TPS, caller ID and the connection delay. But never give any information or money to anyone who calls you like this out of the blue. If it is a company you deal with, always find their number on the paperwork and call them to renew or to make any changes. Caroline, obviously not her real name, already had my name and address, although she couldn't pronounce my name properly. She told me that my home care policy had expired and she was phoning to renew it for £129. I asked her which appliances it covered, and she told me it was for my washing machine, cooker and fridge. "Ah," I said, knowing full well I haven't got or ever had policies for those items. "Could you give me the policy number so I can check it against the price I paid before?" "Sorry, but we don't have access to the policy number on our system," said Caroline, cool as a cucumber. So how do you know my policy is expired if you don't know the details? I said. Well, Caroline said, I can see that your policy expired in 2020, and I can see your payment details, so we can renew it now. Does your card number begin with a 4? I'm sure a very large proportion of cards in the UK begin with 4, I said. Look, I never had the policy you're talking about, so I know you're a scammer. Caroline didn't deny it. She said, I'm here to renew your policy. If you don't wish to renew, that's fine. I wouldn't be renewing anything I never had, I said. You're a scammer. OK, have a good day, she said, completely unfazed. She was so polite I didn't want to be rude. You too, I said, but please stop scamming people. Goodbye. I blocked the number straight away, using the service that John, the scammer, got most annoyed about. I've noticed in recent years that a lot more scammers are women or use female voices. I'm sure one of the reasons is because female or higher-pitched voices have been shown to instill a better sense of trust, in Western societies at least. There's a link to some recent research in the description. But I can imagine Caroline and Mac having a chat during their break, and Mac thinking he could do better. Mac rang me using a different fake London number, but with exactly the same script. But before he had a chance to get far into it, I asked him what his real name was, as I like to know who I'm speaking to. So he told me he was Mac Campbell. Yeah, right, but I couldn't sway him. He insisted that's what his name was, and tried to carry on with his script. I said, I know you're a scammer. I don't have a policy, so go away and stop scamming people. And that was the end of that call, and I blocked that number too. Be aware and stay safe, folks. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.
Should have seen it coming.